All right, so let us continue. So now we are busy with 4.2. So let's get started with 4.2. So 4.2 is a very interesting scenario as well. It says that 4, it gives us a pattern, 4x, y, negative 11 are the first four terms of a quadratic number pattern. Okay. And then 2p minus 4, p minus 3, and p over 2 minus 1 are the first differences of the same number pattern. So basically, what they're trying to tell us is that there is a number pattern. We have a number pattern, it's a quadratic number pattern. It has these terms 4x, there's y, and then there is minus 11. And then the first differences of this quadratic pattern. So the first differences, there is 2p minus 4, and then there is p minus 3, and then there is p over 2 minus 1. Okay, and then they want us to determine the value of p, the value of x, and the value of y. All right, so this is very interesting. Okay, so what do we know? We know that this is a quadratic pattern, so that's given. Let's see, this is quadratic, okay, quadratic, and by that information alone, we are expecting something. We're expecting that the second differences to be constant or to be the same. So in other words, if I take this guy and then that guy, so the values that I will have for this and that, they have to be the same because they told me that this is a quadratic pattern. Okay, so I can say that this term minus that term minus this term should be the same as this term minus that term. Okay, because we are dealing with a quadratic pattern. Okay, hopefully that's clear. So I'm saying that p minus 3 minus 2p minus 4 is equal to p over 2 minus 1 minus p minus 3. So there's nothing fancy that I've done. There's nothing fancy that I've done. Basically, I am saying that whatever value that I will get over here is exactly the same value that I will get over here. So basically, this minus that is expected to be the same as this minus that, right? Which is basically the identity or the main characteristic of a quadratic sequence, a quadratic pattern. So let's continue. We can use this equation to solve for p, by the way. Let's do it. P. So what can you see? We can see that there will be p minus 2p, and then there will be minus 3 plus 4. Okay, and then over here there will be p minus 2, p over 2, I mean, minus p, and then there will be negative 1 plus negative 1 plus 3. Let's do it. So p minus 2p will be minus p, and then negative 3 plus 4 will be what? It will be positive 1, yeah, and then we have p minus 2 minus p. So think about this. If you have 1 over 2 minus 1, then the answer is minus 1 over 2. Okay, so so p over 2, or 1 over 2 times p minus p, is the same as minus p over 2. Okay, and then minus 1 plus 3 will give us positive 2. And then we can collect all the p's on one side, p over 2, and then 2 minus 1. Okay, uh, negative 1 plus a half is what? It is negative a half. So it will be negative p over 2 is equal to 1. And then we can cross multiply, and then we see that negative p is equal to 2, and therefore p is minus 2. All right, so the value of p is minus 2. So we have the value of p. And then now we we need to take note of what is happening at the top. We know that x minus 4, right? So x minus 4, this term minus that term will give us this guy, right? So we know that x minus 4 will give us 2p minus 4. But then now we have the value of p, so we can use this equation, this one, to simply get the value of x. So let's get that done. Um, so we see that x minus 4 is 2p minus 4. X minus 4 is equal to 2p minus 4. And then we saw that the value of p is minus 2 minus 4, and then we can say that x is 2 times minus 2 is minus 4, so basically we will have minus 4 minus 4, which is minus 8, and then this minus 4 will go to the other side, become positive 4. So x is minus 4. Okay, x is minus 4, and now we must find the value of y. Okay, so we know, what do we know? We know that y minus x is p minus 3. Okay, okay, y minus x is p minus 3. So y minus x is equal to p minus 3. Now we know the value of x, so the value of x is minus 4, and then we know the value of p, the value of p is minus 2. So y plus 4 is equal to minus 5, and then we see that y is minus 5 minus 4, which is minus 9. Okay, so the value of y is minus 9. So we have determined all the variables that they were looking for. So this was a very interesting question. So in questions like these, it is very important to have your basics in place, because no matter how scary or no matter how difficult the question looks, but then if your your foundation or your knowledge of your basics is unshakable, you can apply those basics to whatever question that you come across. So There's nothing fancy about this question, for example. There's nothing out of the ordinary that we used, but then we just use the knowledge of quadratic patterns, that quadratic patterns have constant second difference. We applied that and we were able to determine the values of p, x, and y. Hopefully that was helpful.